For literally years, I've been telling myself that I want to set up a second brain in Notion, and although I did get underway with it at the start of this year, I didn't get very far. That means that the Notion system that I had at the start of last week was very much a work in progress. What I want to do though is by the end of the week have it completely set up so that it is very much aligned with what I want it to do for me. I have templates and structures that are going to work in exactly the way I want them to. And essentially my Notion second brain is at least at a soft finish point. Of course, that's not the only goal I'm working on this week, but to see how I got on, we're going to have to jump back to Monday morning. Good morning, happy Monday. The birds are awake, I am awake, the sky is trying to be awake, so it's time to get things done. On the cards for today is to primarily kind of set the stage for the Notion second brain, figure out what its general purpose is, make sure I'm really clear on my expectations about what goes in there versus what goes in other systems that I have for myself, and also get my work done because it is very much a work day. We have a vlog from last week to edit, I have another video hopefully that I might get onto making, but in order to actually do that we need to get started. I have my overnight oats, this time it's apple pie flavored, very excited, and I just need to transfer all of the footage off of my phone so that I can actually get to editing. This morning we also have the Epic Goals work along, so that'll be a really good opportunity to take a pause from the editing side of things and get into that Notion space, figuring out what the purpose is, all of that kind of stuff. Really get an appreciation for how much work there is going to be to do across the week, but I'm going to give myself just a little bit more time to wake up before we start that. What I actually need to start with is filling out my priorities for the week because yes, we are going to be doing second brain work, but there are other goals that I need to work on too. To populate this one, I just go through the pages in my goal planner that have all of my different action steps for the goals I'm working on and pull out any of the ones that I've tied to this current week. For instance, this week I want to research additional exercise ideas and pick exercise types to trial because next week I'm going to be trialing new types of exercise for myself. After going through all of my goal plans and picking out all of the action steps for this week, while also crossing off the ones I've already done, because last week I kind of neglected checking in with my goal planner. That's not to say that I need to check in with it every single day, but I do aim to check in with it at the very least once a week. The week 3 priorities list is looking a lot better now. One thing in particular I'm excited to do is set up the Know Your Worth planner because my inserts arrived today, so I can get on with actually working on that book because the workbook itself has 12 chapters, so I was ideally going to be doing 1 chapter per week for 12 weeks of the challenge. We're currently in week 3 though, so maybe not. And the inserts also suggest that you can do this in 31 days, so maybe I'll just adjust how I was going to tackle it. For now though, last week's vlog is not going to edit itself, and I want to do this in as timely a manner as possible, so let's get to work. Editing isn't going too bad. We have 51-ish minutes done and roughly 1 hour and 12 minutes left to go. Not quite sure how much footage I started with, but that's cool. Progress is being made. For now though, it is time for lunch and I'm so hungry. This week for lunch, we are bringing back the snackle plate. So we have the apple that I'm cutting up and also birthday cake. But notably, I started eating it before I got any footage. I essentially cut up the cake and sectioned it out into 2 boxes, so mine and Vogel's. And I have enough slices for 1 piece of cake for each lunch for the weekday. And maybe some more if I steal Vogel's, but I'm not gonna steal Vogel's. He made the cake, he gets to have some too. I just find that having clear intentions for snacks like that helps to make me pace the food rather than just kind of binging on it. And if I had enough containers for it, I definitely would put each piece in a separate container to be like, this is your Monday cake, this is your Tuesday cake. It just helps me keep in mind that future Jess would also like some cake, so today Jess should not eat all the cake. For now though, the cake is gone, it's just apple, but that's okay, because I like apple. That one ended up being about 1 hour and 11 minutes long, but now it's exporting. Still need to find a thumbnail, but that's gonna have to wait until after it's exported. Thumbnail making definitely took me longer than I thought it was going to, so now it is 5:45. It's cool. That does mean that comparing the actual use of my time today compared to my ideal weekly structure for a Monday, not as aligned as it could be. But what I do want to do before I go and have dinner is at least outline my general kind of purpose or intention behind my second brain. When it comes to productivity tools and such, I obviously have Notion for the second brain things, but I also have my journal, whether that be my everyday journal or my goals journal or my 5-year journal or whatnot. I have different spaces for different kinds of information, and I don't really love it when we have duplication of information, because that often leads to me forgetting to update one spot over another, which means that like some places are updated with certain things and others are updated with others, but no one place is truly up to date and like has all the information. I'm not looking for a one and done kind of system where every single thing that I need to organize in my life is in one space, mainly because different spaces have different strengths. My journal is a great creative tool. It's where I get to be a little bit more creative, do a little bit more like decoration with things, and it's also my everyday touch. This is the thing that I will check in with when it comes to task lists and to-dos. I'm not usually incentivized or actively going to go to Notion to check off a to-do list. Plus, I find it very satisfying to physically, like with a pen, check something off a list. That feels like an accomplishment, even if a small one. For reference material, however, that's what I really want to use Notion for. Reference material in the sense of notes or journal entries or thoughts, references for our home and home care, references in the form of recipes, and also just helpful life lists. But rather than just spouting all of this off here, I'm going to go and type up the list just so that then I have something kind of tangible that I can come back and reflect on as I start to actually properly structure out my second brain. So I can come back to this idea or this purpose statement, just so I don't start to develop things in Notion that aren't really fitting that purpose or are beyond the scope of it. I figure that if I keep my scope limited, it'll make the project more manageable. And especially as I'm just trying to get to a soft finish for setting up the second brain, I don't need it to be 100% perfect, because otherwise that will suck up all of my time, effort, and energy for the week, and probably beyond that. If I have that purpose statement that just narrows the scope down, it'll do future me a favor. There we go, I've got that one written up now. So just essentially a general purpose, some bullet points that kind of simplify that, and then what is included and what is not going to be included. Having what isn't going to be included is one of the easiest ways to make sure that I don't overpack it. Like, I don't need to build out a huge dedicated task database or anything, because I don't do tasks in there. Daily tasks go in the everyday journal. That's not to say that there isn't already a tasks space in there though, because I am not going to be building mine from scratch. I'm going to be building mine from a template that I purchased earlier this year, which is kind of intense. It came with a lot of sections, but a lot of them I don't really need, or they are not set up in a way that actually clicks with how I want to use Notion. It has a lot of very sophisticated complexity, which is awesome, and I love that you can do that in Notion, but I just want something that's a little bit more basic. Basic, but still organized and still very functional. For now though, it is time to go and get some dinner. And we're just gonna be a little bit lazy here and get some takeout again, because neither of us really feel like cooking. I'm hoping it's not going to be one of those weeks, but like, maybe. Is it going to be one of those weeks? According to Vogel, it won't be one of those weeks, but it is going to be one of those days. We ended up heading over to BK, or Burger King, to get ourselves a bite. And I got 2 King boxes, one with a cheeseburger and one with the chicken chips, but the chips are massive today. Like, they probably don't look it here, but they're actually a lot bigger than usual, like wider. Not mad, just curious. Dinner is done, and now it is time to keep the exercise streak alive. Ideally, I would have finished the day with exercise and then gone into evening activities, like wrap up work, do the exercise, then evening activities. I have been finding that difficult to do, and I don't know if it's just because I need to be a little bit more strict with myself and actually actively attempt to hold that as something I'm doing, or if maybe I just take this and the difficulties surrounding it as a sign that it's not really for me. Right now I'm not quite ready to give up on it, but I do think it's going to need to be a little bit more of a focus if I really want that to be the new routine. The streak is alive, the exercise is done, and because it's Monday evening, that means it is creativity time. Now, I was toying with doing some alcohol marker creativity, but in the interest of getting A Court of Mist and Fury finished and annotated for part of the Sisterhood of the Traveling Book project, I think I'm just going to turn my office into a little cozy reading den and do that instead. I've got my lights on, but I've also got the lights on at the top because I need to be able to see what I'm doing, because I'm reading a physical copy of the book, so I actually need to be able to see the words, and essentially just going through and adding some little annotations, mostly emojis or little notes, a lot of unsmiley faces and hearts and smiley faces and other kind of stuff. And of course the tier tally. I was supposed to be finished kind of closer to the start of the month, and I've still got a little bit left to go. So I'm gonna light myself a candle, get myself set up, and just sit here and do some reading. this evening I tackled chapter 41, or page 390, up to the end of page 475, including my first full paragraph annotations. That was kind of exciting. I still have between the bookmark and my finger left to go, but we've made really good progress. For now though, it is 10:25 and thus time to go to bed, so good night. Gotta blow out my candle first. Good morning, happy Tuesday. Notably, I am up and half ready for the day. Haven't actually had breakfast yet, so let's go remedy that. I'll give you 3 guesses as to what's for breakfast. If you picked overnight oats, you are indeed correct. You win all the brownie points. But if you said apple pie overnight oats, then you win double brownie points. It is a gorgeously grey and soggy day here, so a perfect opportunity to stay inside. Which is fine, because I wasn't actually planning on going out anyway. But on the cards for today, we do of course have work. I need to make 1 video, possibly start planning another one, also get the podcast ready for upload, make the thumbnail for that, yada yada. I haven't written myself a task list though, so that is going to be the first port of call, because I am always more focused if I take the time to write a task list first. If I try to go about my day just being like, no, you gotta get things done, you don't have time for a task list, I just don't end up using my time as well as I could, and thus, I would have saved time if I had have taken the 5 to 10 minutes to just write the list to start with. And despite knowing this about myself, often I do just trick myself into thinking, nope, you gotta go fast, you gotta just get to work. But not today. Today I'm gonna do the right thing. Breakfast is done, the list is written, I'm feeling a little bit more organized now, and I was gonna start with podcast related stuff, but I need to wait for the files to upload, so I'm gonna do the podcast thumbnail, because that one I can do without having to wait for any upload files, and then put off actually uploading the podcast until I have those files, because what I need to do is obviously make the thumbnail. I need to check through the footage, make sure it doesn't need editing. If it does need editing, do the edits, and then get the thing uploaded. Outside of that though, I have an exclusive video to make and Saturday's video to plan. So once the thumbnail is done, I'm gonna move on to the exclusive video. That thumbnail is sorted and the files are now ready. So I just need to watch through the full episode, make sure that I'm happy with everything that's in there, take out anything that doesn't need to be in there or adjust things as necessary, and then get it uploaded. Sadly, getting those edits done took a little bit longer than expected, but I was just having a look at the template that I have for the podcast in my Notion space. And so essentially this is what the template populates as. It has just some bonus sections and then just a space to write down, I don't know, stuff. But I think that I could probably structure this out a little bit better for myself, maybe with a checklist of tasks that needs to get done each time, possibly a spot to record any kind of important upload information because I'm the one who's usually in charge of uploading the podcast. Essentially just as I'm going about doing my work, I'm considering things that I could either add to my second brain or ways that I could tweak or change it so that it's gonna work better for me. So in terms of these templates that I use like every single week, multiple times a week sometimes, to do stuff for the podcast or stuff for the channel or whatever else other places that I'm posting stuff, what can I build into those templates that is going to be most helpful for future me without overwhelming me? Like a lot of the stuff in there, the kind of bonus section, I don't really use any of those. They're here because in theory one day they could be helpful, but it's not really necessary for me as of current. So maybe I need to adjust the template and save this as kind of a separate template. For instance, in my template spot right now, I have video, but then I also have video extra at the bottom of the list. And that's one that has a whole bunch of extra sections that I usually don't use, but I didn't want to lose that functionality just in case there's a version of me that does want the extra stuff. Maybe I do a similar kind of thing for the podcast template, so have the version that is attuned to what I need right now, and then another version that's kind of like a backup that I could use at a later date. Maybe. I'm not sure yet. For now though, I need to clear off the desk because it is time to make a video. That video is going to be for the team with a capital T, or our channel members, and essentially it's all the pre-planning stages I do before I do a monthly setup in my journal. So how to make sure I've accounted for all the layouts that I'm going to need, the headers I'm going to need, decoration, all of that. If you did want to check out that video, as said it is for members, you can find out more information either in the link in the description box or scanning the QR code on screen here. Unfortunate facial aside, that one is done. Now I just need to make a thumbnail, get it uploaded, description box, all of that kind of stuff, and then we can release it. Boom. Done. The day did get away from me a little bit, but I do have 6 minutes left until I'm supposed to transition to exercise time. But I'm going to use that now 5 minutes well and write myself a list for tomorrow. I've been finding that starting the day with a kind of already set up daily log has been really helpful in making the most of my time. Here is the list before and after. Excellent. Time to do some exercise though. Because I'm committed to keeping the streak alive, today is going to be 142 days in a row of exercise. not too bad. I mean, given that I exercised probably all of like twice last year, that is definitely not too shabby. Decided to play a dangerous game today and see if I can play Xbox while on the walking pad. This can only end well for me. Walking and gaming was certainly a choice. I don't necessarily regret it, but I did almost give myself a heart attack at least 3 times. But we won't tell Vogel because he'll be smug about it because he told me it was a bad idea. And like, yeah, it was, but I had fun. The time passed really quickly. Even the parts where my heart was racing 100 miles an hour because I almost fell off. But hey, day 142, got it done. We ended up having last night's dinner for dinner tonight. So that was Italian sit beef salad, very tasty. And then strawberries and chocolate dip for dessert because Monica left it here on Saturday, so it needed to be eaten. Also very tasty. But also, we got happy mail from our photographer, including a USB of all of our photos and also some print-offs in such a cute box. It's very pretty. I don't know where I'm gonna keep this or what I'm gonna do with the physical printouts, but I love it. For now though, one goal that I have been neglecting is doing my Know Your Worth workbook, and that's because I was waiting on this, the Know Your Worth 31-day challenge. Will I actually complete it as a 31-day challenge? I don't know. I was kind of hoping to do a chapter per week because there was 12 chapters. We're now in week 3 though, so that doesn't quite work out for the Change Your Life challenge, which effectively goes over 3 months or 13 weeks. So ideally I would have started at the latest last week if I was going to do 1 chapter per week, but I do want to get these set up. I'm essentially going to take the only disc-bound planner that I have, which is also from the Daily Grind, who made the workbook, and I'm just going to put those inserts in here and probably take some out because this is looking a little full. It's a 4-month planner, but I don't typically plan on 4 months kind of rounds. I do quarterly planning or 3 months. Thus 3 months to change your life. So I might take a month out of here and put the Know Your Worth challenge in here. I have a sneaking suspicion that this planner might be overfilled, and I think I might take the monthly sections out because I probably won't use those, but I do want the workbook to be in here. Just got to figure out what I'm going to do with those monthly pages because I don't have the packet for them anymore. There's a future me problem. It looks like ridiculously slim now, but honestly I kind of prefer it this way. It's a lot easier to open and get through sections this way. Like turning it here, already kind of a struggle. I'm not used to discs though, so you know, take that with a grain of salt. But flipping this over now compared to what it was, much smoother. That one's looking good. I'm not going to start using it today, but what I do want to do is go and start mapping out my second brain. Now, as said, I do already have a second brain space in Notion, and I could jump into there and start playing around and tweaking and whatever, but I think I will get lost in the weeds of things if I don't just start on a piece of paper. Like, as fun and as tempting as it would be to just jump straight into Notion and start tweaking and changing and playing around and all of that, if I start on the simplicity of paper, it will kind of force me to be more simple, and simplicity is definitely something that I want from my second brain system. I am going to plan on graph paper because I just enjoy planning like this on graph paper. I like being able to make crazy maps like this. It probably won't turn out quite as messy as this one, but the grid lines give me enough structure to organize my thinking that it's actually quite helpful to start on here. For this, I really just went in and thought about the main sections that I wanted to have and any kind of like branching or scaffolding that I wanted as part of setting those up. For instance, what main databases do I want to have and what templates do I want underneath those databases? A lot of this was informed by what I have already set up in Notion, but again, I'm starting this on paper, so then I'm kind of forced into being more simplistic. This is what I've ended up with. So we have the content calendar section, which mainly contains the schedule, so actually putting things into like a calendar view, and then the wiki, which is like useful resources and text templates. We have the notes space, which is primarily the stuff for like personal knowledge management, so personal resources, journal entries, ideas, thoughts, that kind of thing. We have tags, which is going to be used to help sort those notes, and also possibly in part the content schedule, but probably more so just the note space. We have the media section, which is going to be broken down into multiple smaller databases for books, movies, TV shows, and games. Maybe also courses if I want to. I can probably get the media section and the notes section to talk to each other like that. But we also have the recipe space, which I am very excited about as well. Technically, you could save recipes in the notes section, but I think it just makes it easier and more user-friendly if I put it in its own database. As an aside, I also put down projects/goals and tasks because I'm going to keep those in the second brain structure, but I'm probably not going to actively use them. Mainly because I have journals for that, I don't need to also be duplicating that information in a digital space. So if I ever go to a system where I do that stuff digitally, it would be nice to have the functionality already there. I'm not going to delete the functionality to have to rebuild it at a later date. Not that I foresee there being a later date where I do my task management in Notion as well, but just in case, we never say never. I want to make sure the functionality is there. I can just kind of like switch it back on if need be. I'm feeling pretty good about my map. I drew a line at the bottom of each of the sections so that then I can go and write down some different database views that might be helpful. So for instance, in the recipe space, it would be good to be able to sort by meal type or by protein type. For my content schedule, it would be nice to have a view that's just for videos or a view that is just for membership perks. In terms of notes, I'm really not sure what views are going to be most useful, but I'll have to brainstorm a couple different ideas. For now though, it is 8:20, so I'm going to switch my brain off from doing this task and move on to something else. But I can at least check off that I have done the outlining of the purpose and scope, but I never ended up putting in an action step for making a second brain map, so no check mark for that. I can check off set up the Know Your Worth planner though, and I need to update my meal log. For the rest of the evening, I just went in and recorded my birthday memories from last week so that I have those in my planner, and then went downstairs and watched an episode of Stranger Things with Vogel before we thought about heading to bed. We were definitely going to be caught up with our rewatch before season 5 comes out, but that's okay because I'm enjoying it. Vogel's enjoying it. I definitely want to get myself one of those Hellfire Club shirts. Might have to investigate that sometime this week. But for now, I am tired. It is time for bed. Good night. Good morning. Happy Wednesday. I almost said Monday. She's doing well. On the cards for today, work. And then the midweek mafia hangout, which is just some good creativity time with my friends. Or just sitting there and bantering. That also works too. In terms of work tasks for today though, we have to record another podcast. We have to, I say we, me, myself, and I have to film and possibly edit Saturday's video. That'd be kind of nice. And also think about setting up for next month in my journal because I need to get that footage to the editing folders. And amongst that, I also have to make sure that I prepare overnight oats for tomorrow because I'm on to my last one. She says as if she can't just make more. But I always find that Wednesday feels like the final day of the first half of the week. As soon as we hit Thursday, I start getting into a bit of a panic like time's running out, which I know is not necessarily the case. But anyway, it does mean that I do definitely want to make the most of today's workday so that tomorrow I can maximize my time for working on my second brain. I feel like there's going to be a lot of decision making as part of that, so I want to make sure that I have the most time possible to make those choices. For now though, I need to prep my overnight oats. Oh, overnight oats. I love you so much. For podcast recording, I need to get my desk in order, which honestly is mainly just moving things away from this edge so that they can't be seen in the footage. So I chucked some stuff on the chair, pushed things to the back of the desk. After recording the podcast, I would actually like to tidy up a little bit because functioning in a messy desk space is not good for mental clarity. It kind of just ends up with me constantly shifting focus to the bits and pieces that are on my desk rather than focusing on what I'm supposed to be focusing on. I'm also really hoping that the weather holds because it would be nice to take an outside walk today. I haven't had an outside walk for a while. I think the body could use some fresh air. But for now, it's time to close the curtains so that we can film a podcast. Look, it's me. Ready to go. Podcast recorded. That one is slowly but surely uploading, which means then I can download it and sound edit it and get it sent off to the editing folders. Yay. For now though, it is time to clear off the desktop because we are filming another video. I'm just very determined to get as much done today as possible in terms of filming because I want more time tomorrow for the second brain. We're getting the work done. Somehow I managed to accidentally turn off my lunchtime alarm, so I'm getting to lunch just 30 minutes later than intended, but I have filmed that video for the weekend. I have made at least a mock-up of the thumbnail. I still probably want to do a little bit more work on that one, but it is lunchtime, time to get some food, and then after that I think I'm going to go and make sure that the podcast can be put into the editing folder. At the moment I've downloaded our individual talk tracks. I have not audio balanced them, I haven't made the split screen, but that's okay. It shouldn't take too long. Famous last words, shouldn't have said that. Do not put that out into the universe. Let's just go have some food. I had my lunch, I got back to my desk, and I think I filmed the wrong video. Like, I think I misinterpreted the topic that I wrote down for myself, and because I didn't plan out the video in full, or like sufficiently, before I hit record, I have recorded the wrong thing. So we can either scrap the original idea and go with what I recorded, scrap what I recorded and go with the original idea and have to re-record, or record the original idea and just make 2 videos. I am conflicted. I'm gonna do podcast work first because that'll give me time to decide. After much deliberation, I've decided I'm just gonna film another video. So we have the productivity ponytail in, and it's time to get to work. Time to put myself back into a den of solitude. Approximately an hour later, that one is filmed. I am working on a thumbnail. That's all good. Feeling kind of blah, but also trying to be mindful that it is now 3:30 and I do want to do my exercise today. I need to make sure that I finish work in a timely manner so that I can take that walk before I go to the midweek mafia hangout. Because I probably can't convince my friends to go out for a walk with me this time, which is fine. It's all good. This is my exercise streak we're trying to keep up with, not theirs. So I would like to get that done before I go because I really don't want to have to do it when I get back. I mean, I don't have to do anything, but I would like to do it. I would like to keep the streak alive. For now though, I am going to do at least an hour-ish of editing and then go on my walk. Got that one done, it is exporting, and it is time to go for a walk. Normally I'd leave it till 5 o'clock, but I want to make sure I have plenty of time to walk and get back and then get packed so I can go to my friend's house. And by the looks of things, it's still nice outside, so we can do an outside walk. Which I could definitely use because I really think I just need some fresh air. The walking pants are on, we just need shoes because I'm not going to walk around in socks, and then we can head off. And I'm probably not going to take my can of cola with me because I think it would look a little weird me walking around the neighborhood with a can of cola. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily be opposed, but then when the can is finished, I then just have to carry an empty can, and that would be upsetting. For me personally, not for anybody else, I think. My walk around the block was quite pleasant. I started a Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping, which is our book club book for October, so I'm glad to be getting onto that one, even if it's only like, you know, started halfway through the month. I got time. It's cool. It's quite a fun read so far. It's quite funny. Or at least I've been finding it funny. I was chuckling along with it. I've only gotten 2 chapters in, but hey, progress is progress. For now though, I need to think about getting my stuff together so that I can head out. A very enjoyable evening with my friends. I made a little bit of progress on second brain kind of stuff, mainly just going and deleting some unnecessary explanations from sections. Didn't get very far with that though. And now as I'm home, I need to make my overnight oats, otherwise I will not have breakfast tomorrow and I will be sad. It's all good though, I'm doing it now. Boom, those ones are made up. I just need to put all of their lids on and get them in the fridge. Which essentially means it's time for me to go to bed. I'm just really excited for tomorrow because I'm actually going to be really getting stuck into the second brain stuff, and I have been meaning to do this for a while. It's been a project on my list for many moons, so it'll be good to make some really decent headway on it. Anyway, good night. Good morning, happy Thursday. I feel like I just woke up. I did technically wake up half an hour ago, slightly in a panic because I realized I forgot to make the watch page for today's live stream. That one's up now though, all good. Vogel commandeered the shower, so I am waiting. But after that, then we can actually get ready for the day because my hair felt pretty gross yesterday and I'd like to give it a thorough wash today. Along with the live stream, I do have a couple other little bits and pieces to do for work today, but then the rest of the day I want to dedicate to the second brain. I think I'm going to be able to make really good progress on that. For now though, as I wait to get in the shower, I'm going to make the most of my time and just do a little bit of work. Like for instance, putting up the poll for our book club book for next month so that we can get that one selected by the end of the weekend, and maybe go and respond to some comments, make sure my task list is set up for the day, that kind of stuff. Getting my stuff together for our stream. We're doing one about picking my 2026 journal lineup, because even though I'm going to have a second brain, I will also still have journals. For instance, my 5-year journal and my everyday journal and those kind of things. So in the stream, we're just going to plan out what I'm going to use for each of those notebooks, and also just consider if there are any that I need to like retire, ones that I'm not going to be setting up for next year, but I used for this year, which means I need to get all of my journals together so that we can have a think about them, and close my curtains so that we can actually stream. And while I know that people do start thinking about these things this early, It feels like unseasonably early this year for some reason. But then again, my brain also thinks it's like August. I think it's, wishful thinking. You've got plenty of time until the end of the year. You have plenty of time to get things done. It's all gonna be all good. Time is running out. And we still actually have time left, but time is running out. Anyways, 4 minutes till stream, so let's get sorted. So I like to use a fair few journals, if you haven't already noticed. But around this time of year, I like to start thinking about what is gonna be coming with me into the new year and what am I maybe gonna leave behind. And that clip was from a stream that has since been deleted because I don't know why the camera chose violence today, so we actually had to restart the stream, which means we still have a version of it up on the channel, but how frustrating. For now though, I need to get these journals off of the desk and back where they belong so I can do some final work tasks before we start really getting into the second brain. The main work project I've decided to pick today is planning out my content calendar for December, which feels kind of silly because we still have the entire of November to go, but because it's going to be Vlogmas, there's going to be a video per day on the channel, I need to know in advance when things are happening. At least I can put in all of the Change Your Life series, so that's a good start. And the 25th of December is usually when we do our feedback video / bloopers roll for the year, so that's an easy one. But for everything else, I'm going through the backlog of ideas I have in Notion and then pulling out any of the ones I think are going to be interesting and trying to figure out which ones would be most appropriate. It's kind of trying to find that balance between these are great ideas and I think that they would be valuable to have up on the channel in December versus my energy and the amount of time I have to make said videos. It's always a fun challenge though, so I'm looking forward to it. Shishmexa has told me that it is time to go to lunch, in the sense that she told me about 15 minutes ago, but I got my schedule done, so now I know what videos are coming out when in December. I'm feeling very good about that. So brainstorming the final Vlogmas ideas, picking the videos and sequencing them, yay, that is done. I just need to now schedule when I'm gonna make them. That is a future me problem. Right now it is lunch. Oh, and I totally forgot to mention, because of course, our gas heater just like stopped working. So we now have somebody who's just parked outside finishing up what they're doing so they can come in and have a look at this because yeah, everything in my house is breaking and maybe for Q1 next year, the goal will be to move. We will have to wait and see. I have my Apple though, and the first port of call for the second brain is to input all of the Vlogmas stuff. Because I'm pretty sure I do have all the videos in the schedule, but I do not think they're on the right days. Thankfully, that just requires me to like drag and drop pieces to the right days. That one has been updated now. All the videos are in and they're looking good. But now it's time for serious work. So I'm gonna go and grab myself a cola so I have something to drink and then settle in with Critical Role. I haven't watched Critical Role before, but Monica and Rachel and my brother are watching it and now I have FOMO. So I'm thinking I'm gonna try and tackle the easy organization tasks when it comes to my second brain, which is mainly just removing like stuff that I don't need, whether that be information or instructions or actual pages, databases, anything like that. Really just going through and deleting the unnecessary stuff, because that's kind of a mindless task, so I can hopefully pay attention enough to Critical Role so I understand what's going on, because having not watched it before, I feel like I'm gonna be in for some learning. Also, the guy came and had a look at the heater. He says that one of the solenoids is rusted or getting stuck or something, and the valve isn't opening or something. We're gonna get a replacement and get it fixed. Hopefully it's not too expensive. The deletion of the unnecessary is going quite well. I've gone through and just deleted any old sheets or databases or stuff that realistically I don't need anymore. I had been keeping it in a space called not currently using, but most of the stuff in there I definitely don't actually need to reference anymore, and I'd rather move it to a space called archive. Out of the something like 20 sheets and databases that I had in my not currently using space, only one of them I have moved to the archive. That one being the page that I used to find a video editor at the start of the year. And the rest of them could either be turned into notes in the notes section that aren't archived, or just got deleted because I realistically was never going to check in with them. I kind of want to start from the cleanest slate possible, considering the fact that I am using a structure that is already kind of established. I don't want to like go scorched earth and burn everything to the ground and start again, because a lot of the functionality I have in my Notion so far is what I'm going to want to use. Like, I already have an established content calendar section. I don't want to go and rebuild that. I already have a content calendar wiki. I don't want to rebuild that either. What I am going to have to build completely from scratch though is a media space. That one I think I'll probably tackle tomorrow. The recipe space I already have established, the tags and the notes. It's really just going through and making sure that the setup of them is exactly how I want it. For now though, I'm taking a slight pause because I got a package. It was a very large box for what was actually in here though. I ordered myself some metal bookends so that I could put those on my shelves, mainly because I was kind of worried that my books were gonna fall over. When you live in an earthquake-prone country, having nothing to support your books is not the best idea. But I also thought I'd put one down here so that I can hold my journals without them toppling over. And also probably go and add one to the cozy corner. Do I love that this causes it to jump a little bit? No, not so much. And it does mean that there is not a perfect flatness to the shelf, but I would kind of rather that than it falling over and knocking stuff over. For this one, it isn't as bad because the journals aren't all the same size anyways, so it's kind of like, yeah, whatever. And for this one, I'm really not that fussed about. I honestly actually think this one is going to be the most helpful for me because my notebooks just seem to want to fall over constantly. But having this little bookend in there means that they will stay in their lane. So even with the annoyances, I'm still pretty pleased. For now though, back to the second brain. Need to figure out what to do next. This is kind of the back end, which has all of the main databases and also the media databases that I'm going to eventually build out. I think that some of these are still going to get scrapped, but I'm going to leave them there for now. But in terms of the template that I've started with, it doesn't actually use those databases directly. It instead sets up these separate views for each of them, and I kind of don't need that what I'm going to call redundancy. The idea behind the initial template is that you have the kind of core databases that information is pulled from, and you don't really go in and mess around with those databases, and instead you set up different views for the information that are in those so that then that data gets kind of like pulled into the different views that you need. I would rather just deal with the database directly, so I might delete the different views and set up the original databases or the core databases so that they have the views I want, because I just don't need the added complexity of having a separate view for the database where I could just make a view on the database. For some people it probably makes a lot of sense, but I don't ever find myself coming back to view this kind of dashboard type layout with all the different sections all in one spot. I'm more likely to go to the individual databases and look at the information there. What this essentially means for me is that I have the content space, but then also the content schedule space, because one of them is a view and the other one is the original database. I'd rather just have the database. So my next port of call is looking at the views I have and building those views into the original databases to remove the redundancy, all while watching Critical Role, which I am quite enjoying. I'm about an hour into the first episode, and that episode is 4.5 hours long, so I've definitely got some to go. But having not known what to expect going in, I am enjoying it. There we go, that one is looking much better, much more simplistic. And along the top there, I just have some quick action buttons, so to add a new task, a new note, or a new project. I'm also kind of tempted to add the goals and projects together because I just don't really foresee them needing to be separate. Like, technically speaking, you could have a larger overarching goal that then has separate smaller projects underneath it, but I'm not even really going to be using this space for goal and project planning. Do I need to have 2 dedicated sections for something that I'm probably not using? Possibly not. I think it needs a little more thought. To avoid thinking about it though, I decided to go with something just a little bit easier, and I jumped into my content scheduling spot and went and added a couple new views for myself. I probably should have noted what views I had on the old view of the content schedule before I deleted it. I mean, it's technically in the recycling, but I can't just go get it out. But the ones I've gone with are the overall schedule, a priorities section for the ones that are coming up really close, a table for literally everything, one's related to membership perks, one's just related to video releases, and then an ideas spot. I went and checked in the bin. The only view that I probably could use that I didn't already have was editor projects, and that's just so that I have all of the ones that are for editing, not by me, put somewhere else, so I know rough timelines of when to get those to people. Other than that though, I think I've got all the views I need for the content schedule. Progress has definitely been made, both in the space of Critical Role and organizing the second brain. For right now, if I want to get a walk in before I go for date night, I kind of need to leave now. It's a nice day outside. I want to walk outside. I would be kind of tempted to watch Critical Role while I do my walk, but I feel like that might be not great for the amount of data I actually have on my phone. It's a long episode, though I'm pretty sure all of the episodes are long, so It's just an episode. Progress to be proud of thus far though. We have deleted the redundancies, gotten rid of the stuff that I just don't need. So the views that aren't really necessary, the parts and databases that I'm just not gonna actually need, and all of the kind of instructional information that came with the original template that I know how to use it. I don't need the instructions or the words. I have formatted my kind of initial dashboard kind of space so it doesn't have embedded databases, but just a list of them, because if I'm going to use it, I'm just going to go to the actual database, so that's good. And I've started building the views I want into the content calendar. I say started, I'm pretty much happy with it, so we're just going to call that one a soft finish. The content calendar views are good. I haven't done the templates in there, so it's not like the content calendar is 100% finished, but the views, that's looking good. Just in case I'm talking about all this and you're like, Jessica, what are you talking about? A database is essentially where all the data is stored. So you'll have like individual entries to the database. In my case, it's like, entries on a calendar or entries on a Kanban board or entries on a list. The views are the way that you actually get to see that data. So the calendar structure, the list structure, the Kanban board. I like to use different types of views, like the calendar or the Kanban board or whatever, depending on how I want the organization of that information. Depending on how I want that information to be organized so I can best use it. Oftentimes I use the calendar the most for the content schedule because it is a schedule, but I also really love a Kanban board for being able to see the different pieces of content I need to put out or am going to put out in each of the different kind of like channels or areas. So like on this channel, or on the vlog channel, or on the podcast channel, or for the newsletter, or on Instagram, or whatever else. We do already have a Notion Basics video on the channel if you're curious about Notion. I personally love it. And we are going to have a full walkthrough video once I've gotten the second brain all set up for myself, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out. But for now, I need to put my walking pants on. And I kind of feel like I need to make this walk pretty brisk because, technically speaking, I'm supposed to leave the house in like 20 minutes, and my walk usually takes me half an hour. Where are my headphones? Walking done, time to get ready to go out. Oh my god, I'm overheated. But I did at least shave a couple minutes off my walk by kind of power walking it. Hopefully I don't smell too bad. I'm sure it'll be fine. I had a very nice date together, and we ended up just finishing off the evening doing a little game social on the couch. Him playing Pokemon, me playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and now it is time for bed. Tomorrow is going to be another one of those like half work, half goal work days, so more progress to be made on the second brain, but also need to think about what I'm going to write for a newsletter tomorrow. Haven't really planned a topic. Sounds like a tomorrow me problem though, so haha. Good night. Good morning. Happy Friday. We are excited to get started with the day. Less excited that I still haven't thought of a newsletter topic, but I'm sure I'll figure it out. We do not have any packages today. We can close the door. Along with the newsletter today, we of course are going to be doing some second brain work. I'm actually really excited to build out the media tracking portion. So the space where I'm going to be logging books and movies and TV shows and games, both in the sense of like, hey, you should check this out. I like want to consume this. And also you have consumed this. We are logging the fact that it is done. I don't think it's going to be as intense as some people's get. I don't need all that many statistics and such, but I just figured that having a more centralized location for that information would be good, because currently I'm storing it in Excel. I love Excel. Excel and I are like besties for life, but I like the idea of bringing the majority of things into Notion. For now though, I need to have breakfast. That is more important. Of course, I gotta write my list for the day, and I'm quite thankful that I have this, because like you see, they moved. They're trying to fall over, but they can't. I mean, in part because of the computer screen, but like, shh, details. This is good. We have a checklist to work with for the day. Excellent. And I've also gotten the newsletter done, so that's a bonus. Totally forgot that I do actually have to set up my November journal pages, so need to do that today as well. But I'm kind of stumped on what theme I want to use for that, so I feel like that's going to be a slightly more time-intensive process than I am hoping for. Hopefully not, but like, you know, we'll see. It took me a second, but I've got a plan for my setup for November. And we're going with an autumnal theme because I have FOMO and this is the only way I'm gonna get fall colors in November. Now I just need to make all my headers, get my stuff sorted, and then actually film the setup. I might take a pause for lunch though. I'm very peckish, and I mean it's like 15 minutes until lunchtime, so fair. Headers printed, decoration sorted, and it is time to set up. Once I close the curtain because it's too bright outside for filming. But it is a nice day, so Bogle and I will hopefully, probably go for an outside walk later. Alrighty, it is time. Got my labels, got my map, got my entertainment for the afternoon, and it's time to set up. I'm about halfway done now, but it is 5 minutes to 6, so we're gonna go for our walk before the sun starts to kind of go down. Not that I actually know what time the sun is going down lately, but anyway, we want to make sure that we have enough time to do our walk and have dinner, and then in the evening we were going to do some game playing. I'm probably gonna finish this setup and then muck around in the second brain so I can get those databases set up. The walk is done, dinner went well, and we are back to the setup, which means following my map and watching Critical Role. Alright, I've at least set up all of the layouts that I'm going to include in the Plan With Me video, so that's looking fairly good. And the time is actually 9:55, so I'm still going to do some work on it because I want to, but I might not get the whole database set up. Or databases, because I'm probably going to do multiple databases, like for different types of media, rather than have them all in the same place. Or I could have them all in the same place, and then just have some kind of like a sorting category to sort by different media type. Yeah, I think I'll do that instead. Because in the interest of making my second brain as simple as possible, I think it just makes it more simple to have one combined database for all the types of media, have a property that then lists what type of media it is, so is it a book, movie, TV show, yada yada, and then have separate views on the database that filter by the type of media. So a view that is just for books, one that's just for TV shows, so on and so forth. I think this could work. That also means I can simplify my dashboard, so rather than having this media section over here, I can just put a media database into my databases list. Which means I then might actually make it so that my dashboard isn't just databases in a list, it is instead like separated out into productivity versus for fun, or maybe work versus personal. I'm not too sure. I feel like there should be some kind of ordering to this to make it more user-friendly. And I'm also just going to adjust the view so it's not full screen or like full width, because I think that compact looks a little nicer, just given that it's not, you know, large bodies of text or anything like that. But as said, this one is just going to become media, and it's going to go over into this list at least for now, and I'll probably get rid of that header, maybe turn it into something else, and we just turn this one into a page, and then in that page we have a database. Da-da-da-da. So I've made myself a super simple database. Effectively, I've just got this kind of book view where I can put things into different spots. So like drag it down into the finished category, for instance, or add new media by going to this little tab, which has different templates for different types of media. And then if I open up a piece of media, the different properties are sorted into these various categories. So we have general, which is things like author, when did I start, when did I finish, release year, tags, and the URL, so like to Goodreads or whatever. And then I have book specific ones like the format, number of pages, whether it has a series that it's a part of and what number of the series. So it's like, you know, second book in a series, we'd write a 2 here. We have similar idea for movies, just with duration and source. Series, which I was originally calling TV shows, but then I'm like, I'm watching a digital series on YouTube right now, so we'll just call it series. And another little drop down for games, just with platform. So like Xbox or PC mainly for me. It's definitely not done. I want to go and add other views in because right now I just have the all media view and the books view. I'm going to have different views for different types of media and probably also one for things that are like on my radar or I want to consume sooner rather than later, maybe grouped by the type of media or something like that. But for now it is 12:40, so technically Saturday. Good night. Good morning, happy Saturday. I am reminded as to why I try to go to bed earlier. I feel not the best, but that's okay because we have things to do today and I'm excited for them. Mainly we're going to be transferring recipes out of OneNote and into Notion. I have actually already started transferring some of the recipes over, or I started a little while ago, mainly as a proof of concept type thing, but we're pretty pleased with how that's looking, so now we just need to go do the rest. And there are quite a few, so this is going to take a while. Before that though, I do need to get up and get ready for the day because I'm feeling a little bit zombified. Very much hoping for an earlier night tonight. Ignoring the fact that my desk definitely needs some attention because working here in its current state isn't going to be the most ideal. But my main aims for the database today are, one, as previously mentioned, transferring over all of the recipes into Notion. That one will probably take up the majority of the day. Won't be super fun, but I'm sure I can find something to put on in the background so I can just like mindlessly work through that. It's a lot of copying and pasting. Two is going to be changing templates that I use frequently so that they are better suited for my current needs, because I think a lot of them have a lot of bloat at the moment that's like, oh, it'd be really cool if I like needed to use these things, then they would be available, but I don't need them. So I don't think I should be keeping them. It just doesn't seem necessary. And then three, making sure that as I'm going through, I'm considering any other ways to view the information that would be useful for me. For instance, in my content schedule spot, I obviously have the calendar schedule, the priorities, the membership perks, videos, ideas, and then this one that I'm just calling scheduled, and it's just like everything that is scheduled for the rest of forever. That one's just done in a table format so I can see all of the information, but it's essentially everything that I already have put on there that is either scheduled or planning or editing, essentially just like not finished and not just an idea. Because the content schedule is one of the places that I work the most, having those multiple views is really handy for being able to pull out specific pieces of information because it is quite a large database. But I also want to make sure I'm thinking about different views for my notes, for instance. Like, would it be helpful to have a notes view that is just for notes taken from books? Or just on particular life areas. Like if I'm tagging different note types to this is for the house, or this is for personal, or this is for work, maybe having views for each of those could be useful. In going through and doing this though, I want to make sure I'm intentional. I don't want to set up a whole bunch of views that are realistically not going to be that useful for me. So I think what I might do is actually list out the views underneath the lines that I put on here, because that was kind of the point. So essentially anything in a box was a database, except for the media, because I kind of like combined those together. Anything that came underneath this is the kind of information that would be stored there, and then the line is supposed to be a divider for me to say like, okay, well, what views do you want in those databases? So for instance, in media, rather than splitting it into separate databases, I will just have different views for the different types of media. These are the views that I've outlined for myself so far. I just need to figure out the recipes one in particular. The wiki will also have an all category. I should probably write that down, as will the schedule, because we've already like got it in there. But at least this gives me a structure to work with. Bogle, what did you get?
I got a cute bag.
Ooh, what's on it?
Evie!
Yay!
I was having a bad morning, so this is my little treat.
But it's time to get started on putting in our Notion stuff. Are you excited?
Yeah. This has already not been hard, and that's good, because I'm having a challenging morning, and my cup is overflowing with challenge.
Yep, we don't want no challenge cup filling right now.
Yeah, so I'm like, this needs to be easier, I am gonna freak out like a toddler.
Good job, you.
Ding!
For now though, time for me to finish my breakfast, and then we can start inputting data. Vogle's sad because I changed some of the recipe cook times, but like they needed changing, so he'll be okay.
That's not correct. I don't mind you changing them. She didn't change them in the OneNote, so they don't match.
Yeah, because the OneNote is becoming obsolete because it's a piece
I
of
might
crap.
still use it somewhat.
It's not my fault that you're archaic.
It wasn't the changing it, that's fine. It was the inconsistency that's gonna make me lose my mind.
I, on the other hand, just don't see the point of spending time, effort, and energy, which I could be spending working on the second brain and the recipe space, to update a system that we're not going to use anymore. Progress is being made. This is what we have so far, so still some that have pictures to be added, but we have managed to get through pork and pasta and I think salads at least. Vogle's still doing chicken. Chicken's one of the bigger ones though. We are making good progress so far, but we've kind of gotten to a point where we're really starting to question whether we're going to make some of these recipes again. So instead of continuing to transfer, because we've not necessarily been mindlessly transferring, but some of them, like, I just went and transferred a whole bunch of stock recipes, and Vogel was like, realistically, when are we gonna make stock? Like, we don't. We just buy stock. So we're taking pause from transferring to just go through all of the recipes that we have left and consider, are we actually gonna make this? Is it necessary to transfer? Like, should we bother spending our time on that? Or can we just let that recipe go and not bother with it? Because the more that we can say like, oh yeah, we're not actually gonna make this, don't bother, the less time we spend doing the transferring. We're doing future us a favor.
Alright team, I thought I'd give you an update because I know Jess said that we are going to delete some recipes. The reason for that is, holy crap, we have too much crap in there and I'm so sick of updating them. I'm like, nope, there's too much, I want to purge everything. Kill it with fire. I realized, guys, I stayed up till 1:30 a.m. last night and I'm now feeling it and I'm in a prison of my own making, but I'm still gonna complain.
Yeah, despite the fact that I did say yesterday, like, oh, it's 12:40, I'm going to bed. I did stay up for another hour because he wasn't ready for bed either.
I assumed she'd gone to bed. I like snuck upstairs because I'm like, I am an idiot. There's no way she's still awake.
It's okay, we're being idiots
We're idiots together.
Vogel has taken up residence on the floor so that we can do the purge.
Purge!
I guess it's probably just because I was like, do I need a recipe for it? I just make it, but then you prefer to have one.
I like recipes so that when Jess is sick, I can make her stuff she likes. Because she's like, it's all up in here in the cloud of my brain.
The thing with scrolling through the recipes is that I am reminded of some of the dumb, pointless crap we have in there, like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Who needs a recipe for a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? This is why this project is taking so long.
I'm so sorry, everyone.
Spread bread with peanut butter and jam. Form a sandwich and enjoy. Why? Why? It's also because some of the instructions in the method is just like, serve. I'm like, why did that need to be a separate bulleted instruction for this method? Why? One solution for getting all of your recipes transferred is just to delete everything in that category. We've gone through though and removed all the ones that were like, no, it's not happening. So now it's back to the grind of copying the rest of the bin. This is the progress that has been made so far, and it's currently like 4:30. So we still have fish, seafood, red meat, vegetables, sauces, appetizers, party snacks, baking, and I've checked off hot drinks and cold drinks. I definitely meant to check off hot desserts and cold desserts, so technically those ones are still to do. And then the alcoholic drinks and cooking information. But so far we have 123 recipes in there, so that's not too bad. For now though, it is time to take a break because we're getting a little bit over it. We're gonna go for a walk and then come back and do some more probably. Yay, walking time! The walk is done. It was quite chilly and windy on the way back, but it's cool because now we're home again and we're back to the project. Because I accidentally checked off hot and cold drinks, I'm going to do those first. It's 5:13, let's get it done. There we go, 5:28, those ones are done. On to the next category. We'll just keep on the drinks train, alcoholic drinks now. And come 5:36, all of the drinks are done. Progress. I think I'm going to tackle a big category and I'm going to go in and have a look at fish. So many fish recipes. It's almost been an hour, I'm still going. I've got like 7-ish recipes left to go in fish. The best part is that's not even the end of fish because there's also seafood as a separate category, which also has a bunch of recipes. Somebody is a seafood fiend, it is Vogel. We are now up to 175, and these two have been transferred over, which means that fish is done, but I still have to do seafood. For right now though, Vogel and I are gonna order some dinner. We're just gonna get sushi because while we could cook, and I'm feeling very inspired looking through all the recipes, we don't want to. We're feeling lazy. You know, at the start of the week where I was like, oh, I think it might be the kind of week where we get a lot of takeout. I called it. I knew it. Dinner has been ordered. Vogel's gonna go get it, which means I'm going to sit here and try and get through as many of these recipes as possible before he gets back. So we were on 175. I'm hoping I can get to like 190. That'd be cool. After a valiant effort, it may be confirmed that I am indeed a wizard, because I got to 201, but now it is time for food. In the sense of actually getting to eat it, as opposed to just writing about it. After all of the seafood recipes I just logged, I'm very excited for my sushi. Our sushi for dinner was very tasty. We have done our episode of Stranger Things, and now it's back to putting the recipes into Notion. Only a few more categories left to do, so we can do this. I believe in us. Oh yes. It took the whole day, but we got them in. 245 recipes. Now, as it is merely 10:30 at night, we need to figure out what views we want in the recipe space, because that means that our information will be much more easy to access, like find what we're looking for. So I'm gonna go bully Vogel into having a conversation with me.
We do not need to do this tonight.
We definitely do.
It can wait till literally any other time. The database is there. The work is done. I wish I was dead.
You didn't even do most of it.
Yeah, I know you did more, which is why it's like whinge more, so I feel better.
We had our conversation and we're both pretty happy with the views we have now. We ended up taking out the one that was this week because effectively on each recipe we had a little checkbox and you could check it to say like, oh yeah, we're eating that this week. So then you kind of see just the recipes from this week all together. But the search function works really well and everything's tagged really nicely. So we don't really think we need that one. So that one's coming out. We did go and add one in for quick meals though and sorted that by protein type. So that's good to have. Essentially anything that takes like 30 minutes or less to make, it's going to be easier to find all of those nicely put together. And in terms of template updates, the only one I really updated today was the recipe template, mainly to add some kind of colored bars in to nicely separate out the sections and have a dedicated notes spot there as well, and also play around with some of the properties just so then we had like all the information we did need and none of the information we didn't. That does mean that I do need to go and add in my views for the media database, and I just want to make sure that I have the right views for the notes database. That's going to be a tomorrow task. For right now though, I'm going to update my journal by crossing off everything I got done today and writing myself a list for tomorrow so I know exactly what I need to do, and then I'm going to go to bed because it's almost 11 p.m. and it would be nice to get an early night compared to last night. So good night. Good morning, happy Sunday. We are awake. We are not ready for the day. Vogel and I were going to go and do a walk this morning because later today we have social plans, so fitting it in around those was going to be kind of difficult, but the weather had another idea. So he's down on the walking pad now. I am notably still in bed, but the general plan is to, once he's done, get out of bed, get on the walking pad, then get ready for the day, because first social event we have is Yum Cha, and we are definitely not going to want to walk after eating that much food. But I do want to keep the streak alive, so we will make sure a walk happens. Also on the cards for today though is doing the kind of like, what I'm going to say are the finishing touches of the second brain to get to that soft finish. It's probably a little bit more work than final touches, but it is the remaining stuff I have on the list to do before it is soft finished, so yeah. I mean, can you call 60% of a project final touches? It's probably not that much. I'm actually kind of tempted to get up now and get started on that because sitting in bed scrolling reels is not, it's not really cup filling right now. It's not the best use of my time. I think it would feel more satisfying to get up, like have some water, go to the computer, do some Notion stuff, and then by the time I get on the walking pad, maybe I'll be 65% of the way through. Again, that's not an accurate measurement. All right, time to get up. And the first port of call is going to be template work. Coming in and seeing all the recipes set up just makes my heart happy though. It looks so good. But admiring my handiwork will not assist me right now. I'm going to start with the templates in my content calendar. One, they're the ones I use the most, and two, I think they're going to be the easiest to fix. And the real fix here is just getting rid of sections that I know I'm not going to use. Like, it would be nice to be the kind of person who uses them, but I'm not that person. We now have a new set of templates that are ready to go and looking good. But for now, Vogel is off the walking pad, so it's time for me to get walking. Feeling fresh, feeling clean, and it looks like part of my day just cleared up because the evening plans that we were going to have are probably getting cancelled because somebody's not well. It's cool, more time to do second braiding, I'm okay with that. Do need to figure out what we're gonna do for dinner. Though given the track record for the week, it'll probably be takeout or cupboard food. We could just have porridge or something. For now though, I'm just getting final bits and pieces together so we can go to Yum Cha with the family because it's Dad's birthday next week, so we're going to Yum Cha today to celebrate. And I get to use my VIP card that they gave me for like long-term service, long-term patronage. Yeah, we love savings. A most enjoyable trip out to see the fam and have some good eats and good company, and then Mum and Dad came back. We just had like a cup of tea, hung out for a little bit, and now it is time to get back into the office and do some more on the second brain, which I do kind of feel like I need to take a more systematic approach to this right now, because while it can be very tempting and also enjoyable to just jump around between, oh, I'll set up these different views or I'll do these different templates or whatever, having gone through the templates for the content space this morning, it felt very good to be able to say like that section is done. So I think the next section I'm going to tackle is the media database. The main views that I really want in there is one for each type of media, and then maybe a space for all of them and a spot for anything that is kind of like on my radar as a coming up next type thing. Got my Netflix, gonna watch some kind of movie that was literally just recommended to me and I know nothing about because that's how I roll. Oh, The Perfect Neighbor, that's what I'm watching. And my media database. I already have my template set up in here, so it's really just going and tackling the views. Alrighty, those ones are all in there now. And what I've done is set it so that each individual view, so like, you know, the books view or whatever, that one, the default template is my books template. Whereas if I'm in the movies view, then the default template is for movies. In the games view, the default template is for games. I very much appreciate that you can set the default template per view. You don't have to set it for the entire database. I mean, you can also do that, but you don't have to. That means that for now, the media one is done, and so is recipes, because Vocal and I did that yesterday. Next one to tackle is tags. I don't have a huge range of tags at the moment, but it's also the kind of thing where I prefer to add tags as it becomes apparent that I need them, as opposed to going in and like setting them all up. Because it's all good and well to make one for each of my different life areas, but if I'm not adding stuff to the second brain that's related to it, then it's not super necessary. Like, I could have one for physical health, mental health, finances, etc. But I don't really have any notes in there that I know of, at least at this stage, that require that kind of a tag. So I'll wait until I add something to the second brain, usually in the note space, related to that thing, and then I will go and add it in. What I do want to do though is go and change the default template and the template that's been used for these, because I like there to be like colored in headings for each of the sections. That's something I like. And I think that having notes above projects would make much more sense because I actually have notes in here. I don't really keep projects in here. I still want to keep the functionality of having the project spot there because essentially when you go into a tag view, like for instance looking at the personal tag view, the sections below that show up any projects that have been tagged as personal or any notes that have been tagged as personal. Because scrolling down I do actually have personal related stuff in here that is for notes because I actually use the note space. It makes more sense to have the notes above this. At the top I'm adding in a little description for myself so I can remember what the difference between area, resource, and entity are. Mainly because I'm kind of considering whether I even need entities. I know that in the template that I kind of started with, they said that that was helpful to have, but I think it's also helpful for people who maybe run their entire productive life through Notion, which admittedly would be pretty cool, but I love my journals and I'm not going to be getting rid of them, so this is really just like the digital second brain kind of aspect, not my daily task list. Alrighty, the tags are officially set up and I've gone and rejigged all of the ones that I've already got in there so that they fit the same template because I also updated the template. And I decided to get rid of entities because I didn't really need it. Entities was more about like the shape of the information and I don't care to sort things by that, so not necessary. I don't know if you can hear screaming in the back. I'm promising you, there's nobody in pain. Vogel's just playing a horror game. That means the next spot to tackle though is notes, which is really just about changing the views, maybe making some templates. Let's go have a look. At the moment, the default view for notes is the unarchived notes, which is not a good default view, so I'm going to change that. And it also has a selection of calendars for like journal entries and meetings and such. I don't really need those. And then the archived section, I have one archived thing. So yeah, this one needs some thought. All right, so for the notes, I have gone in, cleaned up all of the properties that I just realistically didn't need. There was a lot of stuff that's like very kind of like granular sorting and some kind of, you know, pull functions and whatever. I'm like, I don't need this. Not for the type of notes that I'm going to be taking. It does not need to be that complicated. But I did go and end up adding a couple more tags. What I actually kind of want to do is go through all of my notes and update the tags because most of them I just jotted something down because I didn't have the system fully set up for myself, so I didn't want to go to the effort to add a whole bunch of extra like, you know, metadata information or whatever if I didn't know if I was going to be keeping those things. Now as I'm in a place where I'm feeling a lot better about the way the database is set up and the information being structured in a way I want and everything, now I feel like I would kind of like to go and add that data. So you can see plenty of gaps to fill in there. But we have my different views. So most used, archived, journal, meetings, media, and checklists. I think I'll just move this archive to the end because we don't really need that to be that far forward. And then in terms of the templates I have notes, notes with tasks, book notes, checklist, journal, meeting, or an analytics checklist. For now though, it's time to at least go and add the tags to each of my notes. I've at least gone and added tags to all of them. I'm not going to go and do all of the other bits of information. It's more so like if I ever need to refer back to that note, I'll go and update it then. But that means I have done tags, I've done recipes yesterday, media was done, notes is now finished. Tasks, projects, and goals aren't going to be used all that often, but I do still want to update them. And I'm not really sure if I want to keep milestones because I log that somewhere else. That goes in my goals journal. In fact, let's just go have a look at that and see if I want to keep it. nah. But something I also noted was that in terms of my work-related stuff, there are things in here that I realistically don't think I'm going to use either. In particular, like the B-roll folder and maybe swipes, because I wouldn't think to add them here. I would probably just add them in notes. So we're gonna get rid of swipe. And B-roll, I'd rather just keep a sorted folder on my computer. I don't really need to then go and double up the task of having to like add information in here about like what is the piece of B-roll and how long is it, or I don't even know what data's actually stored in here. Yeah, like time code, gather tags, this isn't area. I'm not gonna use this. Like, we'll just save future me the trouble of being like, oh, I wish I was the kind of person who did this. No, we're done with it. The rest of them though, I think that makes sense. Not currently using is more so for my old databases before I started restructuring everything. So I do still like to reference that stuff. It can stay. The wiki can stay, which I also consider deleting. The wiki is kind of like a content creation specific note space, and I was kind of considering like, what's the point? If you've already got a note space and you're already recording work related notes in there, why not just move that stuff over into the notes? Like, why have two separate spots? And the main reason would be if for some reason I ever have like more of a kind of team that I'm working with as opposed to just by myself for the most part in terms of content, I would rather have those kind of resources separate to my personal note space. So I can just share them the wiki rather than be like, okay, I'm gonna go and share every individual sheet out of the note space for you. Essentially, I'm just kind of like safeguarding future Jess just on the off chance that that happens. And also it's easier for me to then be able to link to the wiki in my content creation database. Like that's where I put post templates and stuff. I would rather just link to the wiki and know that everything there is like work templates, as opposed to linking to my notes space and being like, oh yeah, you can filter by work, but some of these are just like my general thoughts and musings about work. They're not necessarily reusable or actionable notes. I do at the very least need to go through the wiki space and just make sure that there's no properties in the data table that I just don't need. But I think that one should be pretty much okay to use. Can confirm the wiki space is fine. There weren't actually all that many properties in there, which means it's time to move out of content, because that's all looking good, and into the spaces that I don't use as often in the second brain. So tasks, projects, and goals. Tasks is done in terms of its updating. Now I'm working on project, and I think that I'm gonna change the view of this because sure, a table is fine, but I think there's better ways for me to view this information. There we go, I like this a lot better. So now we have them like as little cards, and then those cards are grouped by the tag or effectively life area. And I'll probably also set up one that is just that table view with more sections so I can go and fill in any kind of like, you know, extra data or whatever. I'm also gonna change that from unarchived because that doesn't seem like a great title for this. There we go, not looking too shabby. Let's just ignore the fact that the deadline supposedly for this one was February 23rd and it is 0% done. Yeah. But as said, I don't really use this section so much, so it's mainly just set up for a future me who possibly does want to use it and doesn't want to have to like build it from the ground up to figure out a system that's going to work. I'm essentially thinking like, if I used this for all of my projects, what would I want? What would I need? Setting it up in that way so that then if ever I do need it, it is ready for me. I'm also trying to make sure I remember to check off the things on this list so that I can actually see my progress, because it's a little hard when it's all digital like this. So in terms of updating templates, we've done projects. Double checking that tasks is done, so we can check that off. Note templates are done. Tag templates are all good. And so I think I just have the goal template to go, which again is another area that I don't foresee me using all that much, but I want it to be ready just in case future Jess wants to use it. I added a goal in just so that I had something to play with while I went through and tweaked things, but that one is now done, which means updating the templates is all done. And given the fact that I removed unnecessary properties while I updated those templates, that one should be finished as well. And I've finished removing unnecessary views because I did that as I went through and updated the templates, which means I think that my second brain is officially soft finished. Which sounds kind of silly because a soft finish is literally the type of finish I use so that then I don't let perfectionistic Jess take over. The one who's like, we're gonna tweak, we're gonna iterate, we're just gonna like, you know, do a couple last minute things. I just continually find more things that I want to update or tweak or change. So I get to this feeling of like, oh, it's never really finished. It's constantly ongoing, which means your mind needs to ruminate on it and you just never let the project be done. With a soft finish, it means that I've gotten to a point where I am like satisfied. I'm happy enough and it feels quite good. It's a nice way to let my mind rest and say, hey, that's taken care of. We're at the good enough point, but good enough in like a really good way. Not good enough in the sense of, oh yeah, you gave it like 40% effort and it's like, fine, I suppose. No, this is genuinely what I want for right now. And that doesn't mean I won't change my mind later, and it doesn't mean I won't maybe add more sections in or a little more kind of information or complexity or whatever. But this is it. This is what I've got, and it's looking cute. I like the simplicity of it. A second brain doesn't have to be this like huge major thing. What's more important is that it's filling the need that you're giving it, and for me the main needs are content creation, organizing that, and organizing my notes, whether they be media related, recipe related, or note related. The only section I haven't touched is the archive, so I'm gonna go through and format that the way I like it, and then that should be done. It's not a big change, it's just formatting it so that I like the look of it better. And I don't foresee myself coming into this section all that often, so this is all good. I'm not gonna lie, I was genuinely worried as to whether I was gonna get this finished this week, especially as we kind of approached Thursday, Friday, and then spending all of yesterday just doing the recipe related stuff. I was like, oh my god, this is just gonna be like lingering for the rest of the challenge. But for now, it is 10 minutes to 7 and we haven't had dinner, so I'm gonna go pester Vogel so we can get some food. As is probably not surprising, Vogel and I went and got takeout. We ended up getting McDonald's. I am gonna put myself on a takeout ban, I swear. I know it's not aligned with my health goals, and I think that it is just setting back my progress, and although I kind of tell myself, like, if you restrict yourself and you don't let yourself eat takeout, you'll kick off rebel brain and then you'll just fall off the wagon. I'm like, you're already off the wagon anyways. Get back on the wagon. Jeez. But being a little bit more strict with myself is a future me problem. For right now, though, I want to get myself prepared for tomorrow and also just make sure that I've done other things that I have on my goals list for the week, or like my actions list, the things that I do to work on my goals. I want to make sure that I have checked off as much as possible, because a lot of the ones on here in particular, they're not related to the second brain. The second brain was the focus for the week, but that doesn't mean other things aren't happening. One such task was researching exercise ideas. I have done that. Mainly it was just a last minute check to see if there was anything else I wanted to add to my try this out list, because I want to find another type of exercise that I enjoy. As much as I love walking, it would be nice to have some variety. And then I also have select self-help book number 1, because across October, November, December, I want to try and read 3 self-help books, and we're kind of getting, well, not like towards the end of October, but we are like 2/3 of the way through, so it would be good to possibly start my October self-help book. Thankfully, I already set myself up a list of books on Goodreads that I'm like more interested in at the moment compared to others. And given that we don't have that much time in October, I might just take the smallest one from that list and put that one down. That one either being 4,000 Weeks, which is 245 pages, or the 1-page marketing plan, which is 224. I might go with 4,000 Weeks because that one I've been wanting to read more for longer. Yeah. So that means that that task is done. So we're up to setting up my Q4 office alarms, which is essentially just telling Shishmexa to tell me when I'm supposed to do things, like going for lunch and stopping working. I've already set them up for some days, but I don't have them for all of them, so that's just like a quick adjustment. That one's done, didn't take very long, but what I do want to do is give myself a schedule for when I'm going to be working on my Vlogmas videos, which essentially just means doing some color coding of when I can or can't or will or won't do the video work. We're gonna go mark in with red the days that it's not gonna happen. Now, as I've marked in the days that I can't or won't be working on Vlogmas stuff, mainly because like those ones are all already done and these ones are all when I do the vlog editing and such, and I'm gonna be away that week. Now it's time to pick out the days I will be doing Vlogmas stuff. Green pen. I started marking things in, but then I realized it was probably just gonna be easier to do it in Excel, because then I can kind of make this Gantt chart? I don't know what a Gantt chart is, let's be honest. But essentially it's a timeline view of like, hey, here are the ideas, here are the days for posting and such, and when can you work on them. It also means that I can use letter codes to say like, hey, this is F for filming, E for editing, and then just a blue dot to say I'm gonna post the thing. I made a dent in terms of planning when Vlogmas stuff will be happening, and I'm kind of tempted to make next week's focus Vlogmas stuff, along with trialing new types of exercise, because I want to find something that's different to walking. But for now, it is 2 minutes to 11, and despite telling myself I wanted to get a decently early night, yeah, I think it's time to go to bed. I am very excited for sleeping. In particular because next week I want to try and get back to a more regular sleep routine as well, because I've been finding getting up in the morning a little bit challenging, definitely self-inflicted by all of the late nights, but now for something completely different. Okay, according to Vogel, it won't be those... Wait, what? No. I didn't realize I was still filming. I got totally distracted because one of our lemons was like mold. And I was like, did Vogel buy a lime? No, mold. The day definitely got away from me a bit, but I do have 6 minutes left until, gosh, you're dirty. So I'm gonna use those 6 minutes well and get myself prepared. I was gonna try to. I'm essentially gonna take the only ring disc.
And this is my picture.
I mean, they can't really see what I'm doing, but you know.
Hello!
Tink.
Are they supposed to see me?
Well, yeah, so they can see both of us together.
Yeah. Sorry guys, I made this real difficult.
You did.
I refuse to move, I'm so sore and I'm so comfy here.
Yep.
No regrets.
Oh no.
I despawned.
He's dead. I tried to say that without a smile. Our sushi for dinner. Blah, 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 blah. Try that again. And try to ignore the fact that there's a really big pain in my knee. Please hold. I'm very pleased with the progress that I made this week, in particular with regards to the Notion second brain and having that one at a soft finish point, but also the fact that the Vlogmas content is at least scheduled, even if I haven't really started making it yet. Of course, Vlogmas is coming. Make sure that you're subscribed to the channel so that you don't miss out. And as part of that, we are going to have a full Notion tour, so I show you all of the back end, all of the different sections that I put in there, including the templates that I've set up, the different databases, and all of that. For next week though, the main goal that I'm going to be tackling is in relation to physical health, and in particular trying to find a new exercise routine, because as much as I love walking, it does get a little boring. To see how I get on with that one and all of my other goals that I've been working on this quarter, this playlist is the one to check out. That one has all of the other videos as part of this round of the Change Your Life Challenge, including the introduction. So if you want to get involved and join us, that one tells you exactly how. Click or tap on that one and I'll see you over there.